I really don't know what Christmas is all about.
If you're already subscribed, welcome back, my darling. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do subscribe and join a part of the family. The secret emoji is on the screen now. And also, I wanted to introduce you guys to Merry ShayMas. This is going to be my take on vlogmas, if you will. And I'm pretty excited. I'm going to do 5 videos a week all the way through Christmas. So I'm only going to take 2 days off, which technically with my full-time job, I'm taking 1 day off. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. Also, welcome back. I took a little bit of a break during Thanksgiving just because I didn't want to like tire myself out, or I never want to put out content that I'm not excited about. Also, a little bit of a side note, I don't have lashes on because it started snowing today in East Tennessee, which for some reason made my allergies start bothering me. So my eyes started watering as soon as I put lashes on. I had to not only take them off, but I also had to completely redo my entire eye look completely. Also, right as I started filming, Chris came home and we had to leave and go somewhere, and I had to wear a mask. So I tried to clean up around my lips as much as I could. I wasn't about to redo my face again. So if you see a little bit of lipstick somewhere, please ignore it. I tried the best I could. Now, today's story time, I wanted to do quite a bit of story times through Merry ShayMas, and I wanted to kind of separate them up a little bit. I have about 4 notebooks so far written out of different things that have happened in my life. Kind of like a diary that I've started to rewrite since I got sober. And so far, this is the 5th one. And it's probably a quarter of the way full by now. And I was thinking back on things the other day. It was actually the day after Thanksgiving. I was working and I was thinking about different things. And this came to mind. And I always had intentions, like all the stories that I tell you guys, I have intentions of telling you guys. It's important to remember that while some of these things happened, I was very much like under the influence of drugs. So now that I'm sober, now that I think back on it, I remember exactly what happened. And I do still talk to people that I worked with or family members, different things like that, to kind of get like, is this how it happened? Just to make sure that I'm telling you guys as accurately as possible. And for this particular story, there's 2 people that I worked with at this place that I contacted. And our stories matched to a T. One of my friends, shout out to Shelby, she let me know one thing that I had completely forgotten about. And I was like, this is the perfect story time to kick off Merry ShayMas, and we're going to tell it today. Today, I'm going to tell you guys the story of the worst job I ever had. So this story here goes back about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was right after my nanny had passed away, and me and my mom had gotten an apartment together in Sevierville, which I've told you guys about Sevierville before. If you're not from East Tennessee, it is a huge tourist spot. It's where Dollywood is. There's Pigeon Forge, which is full of all kinds of things. Not far from Gatlinburg, which is full of stuff. There's Cades Cove. Like, it is tourist central for this area. And when moving up there, I learned very quickly that there's a bunch of different like companies. Basically, you can give them your number, your email, whatever, and they'll let you know every single day of different jobs that you can go do. Now, one thing I had already started as soon as I moved up there, because pretty much always I've served up until me and Chris got together, I've pretty much always served somewhere. And there was a restaurant that was right down the street from where we were living that was hiring. And I'm familiar with this restaurant. This restaurant is kind of like a chain. I don't think they go outside of Tennessee, but they're pretty much everywhere around here. And I started working there. I loved that place. Loved the people. Now, the other like chains or locations that they have is ran by different family members that they have in their family. So when moving back to Halls, this restaurant is in Halls. So I reached out to the family that I worked for in Sevierville and was like, hey, I've moved back to Halls, as you guys know. Is there any way that you can give them a little bit of a word, a recommendation, if you will, for me to come work there, since I already know the menu, I already know like all the things. So that all worked out. They had scheduled for me to come in on a Wednesday. I go in and they don't even interview me. They hand me 2 uniform shirts. They hand me, my little apron. They hand me my notepad to take orders on. And they're like, do you need a menu to kind of like revamp? I'm like, no, I literally worked there a month ago. Like, I've got this. They're like, okay, great. Can you be here tonight? I'm like, sure. This was a Saturday night. Okay. Very busy. Now, in the town that I live in, there are not many sit-down restaurants. Even at this point, there was even less places to sit down and eat a meal. Okay. So when I tell you guys that this restaurant was busy, this is a town of, however many people, and I would say probably 10% of the population of this town goes to this restaurant on Friday, Saturday nights, because it's like the only place to pick from. So I show up, whatever, and if you're a server, you're gonna know what I'm saying here. I'm not being shady by any means. I'm not whatever. But if a restaurant doesn't have a bar, okay, and it's Friday or Saturday night, you can kind of tell who's favoritized by who has the best section. Now, how do you point out a section that's better when there's no bar? Because if there's a bar, whoever is serving that area, they're either the best server, depending on what type of restaurant you work for, or they're kiss asses, meaning they suck up to the manager, the hostess, whatever, and they say, hey, I want that section, and they get put in it. So in restaurants that don't have a bar, the better section is going to be party sections, meaning that they're still going to have booths for like families of 4, but they're going to have anywhere between 4 to 6 tabletops to be pushed together for parties, okay? Now, this night, like I said, it was my first night at this location, so I was already prepared to have a section with like maybe 2 to 3 tables. Well, I had 2 in my section, and they were both booths, okay? So I would say probably around 8 o'clock, we get slammed. I'm telling you, people are waiting. People are out in their cars waiting. People are hanging out outside. Like, it is busy. And the manager of like the servers comes up to me, and she's going to be important, and we're going to call her Mary. Mary comes up to me and she says, Morgan, I'm going to add 2 extra tables to your section because we're busy, and obviously you know what you're doing. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, a couple of things that's important. Number 1, this place served alcohol but didn't have a bar. Number 2, this was my first night. Now, I had already peeped that there was one in particular server who was rude as hell. She was rude as hell to the hostess. She was rude as hell to the other servers. They also have bus boys there. She was absolutely disgustingly rude to them. I had already peeped this. And she had one of the better sections. She had 4 booths and 4 tabletops. That is a damn good section. And my section was kind of off the outskirts of her. There was me, and then there was also a friend of mine, shout out to Savannah. I have permission to use her name. Her section was also on the outskirts of, we're going to call her Ashley, this bitchy ass server. So when Mary added those 2 tabletops to my section, she took 2 away, or 1 away from Ashley and 1 away from this other girl. We're not going to even name her name because it's irrelevant, because she didn't care. It was busy. But Ashley cared. She also gave 1 of Ashley's tabletops to Savannah. Okay, so it's so busy. I couldn't tell you when Ashley went to Mary and bitched. But at some point, one of the best boys came up to me and he says, Morgan, Ashley just went to Mary's office and threw a hissy fit that you and Savannah got one of her tables. I'm like, I don't even care. It's so busy. Next thing you know, here it comes. Now, remember, I had 2 booths, okay? One tabletop was given to me from from Ashley's section and from that other server section. That as soon as I walk back, they're pushing the tables together. I'm getting a party of 6, okay? At this point, Ashley walks up to my section and puts menus down for these people and starts getting drink orders. I don't play that shit. I walk immediately over there. I've got my pen in my hand. I've got my notepad. And I'm like, I got it from here. And what was that? Like, I've been serving way too long. And that's something really important to know. If you're somebody just now starting to serve, you've got to have that oomph in you to tell a bitch. Like, you have to. If you don't, you will get ran all over. People will steal customers from you. People will try you. They will take the tips off of your table. Like, I've had it all happen. So she's obviously wasn't thinking I was going to do that, but I did. So then she goes and does the same shit to Savannah, but Savannah has a party of 4. So it's not even a party. It's a tabletop. It's a family. It's a normal ass table. She goes over there and does the same shit. So I tell Savannah, who's already been working there, I'm like, go over there and get your table. Savannah was like, I don't really want to, I'm like, go get your table. You are just giving her, that's why she thinks she can do that. So Savannah gets mad enough to where she goes over and she gets her table, okay? End of the night, we're all cleaning everything up, okay? We're tipping out, so you have to tip out the hostess. You can tip the busboys. Always tip your busboys. Now, Ashley, like I said, always tip your busboys because they are the ones who determine how quickly your table gets cleaned off for you to get another set of customers in that table. If you don't tip them, then they're like, screw her, let's go over here and clean this table, So we're all sitting there, and it was a really good night for everybody. Even me, who I would say probably 87% of the night, I had 2 tables. I still had made a good amount of money. Ashley did not tip the busboys. She did not tip them out. And I thought, okay, I've made my mind up. I'm not going to be cool with this chick. It's not going to happen. Like, she is just absolutely gross. That is not cool. That is not how I play it at all. So now let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit. As I already mentioned, these chains of restaurants were owned by family. But it's basically like down the family tree. Like the people that I was working for with the restaurant in my hometown, it was like the 3rd nephew to the owners of the restaurant I worked for in Sevierville. So they were just really shitty people, the ones here in my hometown. Like, I mean, screaming in cooks' faces, spitting in their face, like going out in the parking lot and physically fighting. And y'all, I'm talking about like fist fighting, like this is a fight. People would leave in cop cars, in ambulances. I can't tell you how many times this shit would happen. It was an every week occurrence for the most part. These poor cooks, like just a lot of things, and I'm not going to get into too much, just because like it's a lot. But one thing that they were just really off about was sleeping with the workers. This became known like really early on to me working there. I knew that like this person was sleeping with this person and this person was sleeping with this person. Like it was literally a circle of screwing. Like everybody had slept with everybody, and it was like this. There was love triangles everywhere, and people were popping out kids, and like it was messy as hell. Now, Mary and the owner, which we're going to call him Doo-Doo Head and Mary, they have been a thing. Okay, it's a low-key thing. But Mary's been there a long time, and they have some things going on. One day, I show up to work, and Mary comes to me, and she lets me know that this other server isn't going to be there. That she's not going to be there. And I'm like, okay. She was like, so you're going to have 2 sections. I'm like, great. This is great. Which, okay, I'm going to have money, but I'm like, can I have, because they had 3 new girls that they were training. I was like, can I have one of the new girls to kind of help me, because they weren't able to make tips yet. So basically, when you're starting out as a server, you have like this period of time where sometimes it's a week, whatever, where you're basically waiting on your ABC license to serve alcohol, and you're not allowed to make tips. You're basically shadowing another server, if that makes sense. So I knew that this one girl hadn't got her ABC license yet. She'd only been there a few days. And I thought, well, if nothing else, she can at least get drink orders for one table while I'm delivering food to another, you know? Also, you're not supposed to do this, but I'm that bitch, and I would share my tips with them as well. So there's that. They would make some money. And she's like, sure, that's fine. You guys, this was during our town's Christmas parade, okay? If you're unfamiliar with my town that I live in, there is one main highway in my town. It runs straight through. There's side roads going off of this highway, obviously, to get to like people's houses and stuff, but like any business or anybody who's driving to their home, they have to go down this highway, okay? And we were freaking slammed, like slammed, like, baby, it's party after, because everybody's out with their family watching this parade. So when they get cold, they come in and eat. You could also, there's like windows in the restaurant so that you could see like out to the main road. So you can see like, you could watch the parade while sitting there eating your meal type shit. All of a sudden, Mary and Boo Boo the Clown, or whatever I called him, they disappear. They're nowhere to be found. They're ghosts. They're gone. And the hostess, basically the hostess, I don't know what else you would call her, but basically there was the owner, Mary, and this hostess as far as like who's in charge. So I go to the hostess and I'm like, hey, what do we do here? Like, it was a mess, you guys. Everybody was basically doing whatever the hell they want, taking whatever customer walked through the door. It was absolutely a nightmare. And while I may say that the owner and Mary are, they're maybe not the best people in the world, they know how to run that restaurant at least to where everything's mapped out. Everybody gets the fair amount of, you know, customers. Like, they do know at least that much. You know what I'm saying? So when they were gone, all these young ass kids and whatever, they're doing whatever the hell they want. Like, they're taking customers as soon as they walk through the door, taking tips off of other people's freaking tables, not taking their food out. Like, it was absolutely a freaking nightmare. You guys, they never came back this night. They were gone I don't know where they were. Mary's door was locked. We couldn't get in there. At the end of the night, we had to calculate our own tip out. The hostess was helping us the best that she could. But like, we didn't even know our own freaking tip out. We had no freaking clue because they calculate that shit in the computer, and without Mary's code to get into the computer, we didn't know. So I'm not leaving all of my money there. Absolutely freaking not. It's not happening. I worked my ass off, and honestly, it is what it is. You didn't show up to do your job. And when I say tip out, I mean there was a particular percentage that we had to give the restaurant every night. Not hostesses, bus boys, but the actual management. I showed up to do mine. It's only fair. This all pissed me off really bad. And also, you guys, I was very actively using drugs at this point as well. So the next night, I pick up my phone. Hey, I'm not coming in. No, not coming in. And I didn't go into work. I didn't. And so Mary ends up calling me. And she's like, hey, if you don't come into work tonight, you're fired. Like, we need you. I said, okay, so what about last night? What happened last night? And she was like, it's a long story. I'll tell you at the end of the night, but I really need you to be here. Blah, blah, blah. I get there, you guys. Same type of shit. I'm running 2 sections. I have help, whatever. Same exact thing. They end up disappearing again. I'm like, what the hell? Finally, at the end of the night, the owner and Mary show up. And they started screaming at the cooks. Apparently, a couple of customers from one in particular section, and I'm going to say it right now, I think this had completely, like 100% to do with the server. Because if you're not there to pick the food up, like the cooks cannot cook the food and run the food out. It just can't happen, especially when they only had the amount of cooks that they had at this place. Not to mention the damn management wasn't there to run the damn food out. So we're running around like a bunch of damn chickens with our heads cut off. It was a lot. Like, it's not going to happen. And so I stand up because I'm the type of person, and it's because I'm the oldest. I know it is. Let me know in the comments if you're the oldest kid and you can relate. But like, even when I was a kid and like one of my siblings would have been getting in trouble and like, you know, they're getting disciplined, I would stand up and be like, stop it. You stop it right now. Like, that was me. So when they started blaming this on the cooks, I stood up and I said, look, this doesn't have anything to do with the cooks. It has to do with this server who was outside smoking cigarettes all night, in the bathroom doing God knows what, taking Snapchats, outside talking to her boyfriend for 20, 25, 30 minutes. Like, that's what it has to do with. You guys are the worst managers ever. Like, I was high, so I didn't care. I'm like, pfft. Tell me to go home, baby, because there's restaurant jobs everywhere. Tell me to go home. And they wouldn't fire me. So this gave my little drug addict brain the idea, well, I guess I can just talk to him however the hell I want to. And it did stop the argument. So from this point on, even other servers, cooks, busboys, if they were getting yelled at by the owner or Mary, they would come to me and say, Morgan, can you come over? I'm like, no, no. But this one in particular day, I was not having it at all. I was over it at this point. They were being really, really shady. I'm not going to get into everything they did, but just know that this place was super shady. And as far as I know, still is to this day. And they used the language barrier to basically pull off their shit, if that makes sense. And this was at the end of a very long day for a lot of us. So we had probably, I think it was around 6 or 7 servers quit. So there were only about 4 or 5 of us. And we had worked doubles. So we had worked 11 a.m. to midnight. I was done, baby. I was done. Done. I wanted my money and I wanted to go home. This was also payday. So I don't know if it's like this all over the country, but in Tennessee, servers get paid $2.16 an hour. Maybe a little more, maybe even less. Like, you're making your tips. Like, you're not making no paycheck, okay? But regardless, that's your money that you worked for. And they give me my check, and I knew it wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right because I knew what I worked. And there was about 3 other people who were like, what the hell? This ain't my paycheck. You've gotten it mixed in what they had done. And I still to this day really truly believe that they did this on purpose. And I don't care that they had to close the restaurant for weeks after this. This is their own fault. But the people who had quit, they tried giving us their paydays. So where they had only worked a couple of weeks or a couple of days on that pay period, so their paycheck was like $21, when our paycheck should have been around $160. That would have been more like realistic, even though I worked 2 doubles a week. So my check would have been a little bit more, and there were other people who worked doubles. That night, every single one of us walked out and quit except for 2 people. 2 people. So they ended up having to close their restaurant for the next couple of weeks until they found servers. And there was 2 girls who had quit, who had like had it up to their like eyebrows, who was like messaging people on Facebook and saying, do not go work here. Do not. It's the worst place. I've worked there for years. It's absolutely terrible. Do not go there, blah, blah, blah. That place was just absolutely horrible. Not to mention, Mary started stalking me on Facebook here recently, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. So shout out to Mary. Everybody say hello to Mary down in the comments. Regardless of what I was doing in my spare time, I still clocked in every day. I still worked my job. I still did what I was supposed to do. So you pay me my money.
The fuck?
Anyways, that is the story of one of the jobs from hell. But watch my videos and be sure to subscribe. And welcome to Merry ShayMas. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure that you do follow me on social media. It is all linked down below. And I have been super, super active on TikTok. And it's a whole thing. Be sure that you follow me there. And until next time, my babies. Bye.